Starting the show a little early because we got to talk about this shit, right? We got to talk about our Bulls here. And this is why after the game against the Pacers, when Bulls fans and they were coming in here like, well, it's just a single loss. The Bulls were tired, this, giving all these excuses. And this is why I do like Billy Donovan's statement after the last game of just talking about how, you don't want to forget this loss. The Bulls are being exposed. Yes, there's some problems with the referees as well, right? There were some calls in this game, especially that call when Lonzo balls three and then they called the offensive foul. Like, there's something going on with the way the Bulls are being officiated, and I don't know if it's because of the complaining that they do sometimes as a team, if it's whatever else. I don't know who is fucking one of the referees' wives and got caught. Something had to happen because the officiating is definitely terrible, but outside of that, the Bulls are all that intensity and everything. We see it in spurts still, but what the Bulls are being exposed for is the fact that if you're not on your game and executing for all four quarters, you're going to be exposed by any team in the NBA can expose you. They can. Whether the record is 1-16, whether the record is 4-12, 4-2, whatever it is that you can be exposed in the NBA if you don't play with intensity, if you don't have good game planning or whatever else it is. And I think really a key part of this is the Bulls' lack of interior rebounding on the offensive end is really exposing the lack of second chance points is killing the Bulls. Tony Bradley, as solid as he can be, right? I think really what we're seeing from Tony Bradley is he probably is better off as like the third big man off the bench, not the secondary, not the immediate backup center at this point right now. There's a lot of things going on, but we have to be honest in Bulls fans. Yes, it's two losses back to back. We're not really, it's not about being panicked over those two losses. It's how they lost these games that's more concerning. The Bulls were in every game to start off the season. We could have easily been like 13-1. We could have won every game up until that Golden State game, regardless of what happened. Now it's really starting to be exposed that something is going on with the team, and it's still early on in the season. We've dealt with some injuries, we dealt with some adversity, but things really need to change. This is not excusable at all. Anyone who was blaming the last loss off the Bulls being tired and thinking that made it okay for the way that the Bulls play, I hope that you guys are waking up to this now, because this isn't. You can't just excuse this by being tired. You can't just excuse this of being off back-to-backs. You lost to the worst team right now in the NBA, the worst team. And you want to, and as a fan base, we're trying to give you the credit as being contenders. This has something on this ship has to be corrected. I can't like this loss is infuriating, right? And this isn't to panic and say our whole season is going to be a waste. This isn't to say that anybody needs to be traded or fired or whatever else. The answer is very much so still within this roster, but they need to figure it out. They need to look at each other, they need to look at themselves in the mirror, and they need to figure out what the fuck is going on here, because if this isn't corrected, this could start being a problem. The Bulls are getting exposed for their holes, and something that I said may start happening, right? I didn't expect it to happen yet. I didn't expect a team like the Pacers or the Rockets to really take advantage of it. But as more teams get more tape to see how the Bulls play, to see what the Bulls are trying to execute on offense, to see how to disrupt them, as that happens, how the Bulls adjust to that is really going to be telling on how far this season's going to go for us. And as of right now, the Bulls are not adjusting very well. That rests on the players not hitting shots, that rests on them not executing, that rests on them not playing defense as hard as they have throughout all four quarters, but it also rests on Billy Donovan and his execution as a coach. Yes, the refs gives us some terrible calls at times. That's going to happen in different games. Yes, it sucks to have seeded in the last two home games, but it's going to happen. In this game, the Bulls weren't at home, and it still happened. Something needs to happen here. I'm going to go to some of the comments here. We'll talk about it. Christopher, ignore everything I said the other night. This team is done. They're not done, right? It's too early in the season to say that they're done, but they need to do something serious to figure out what the fuck is going left with this team very early on. And I was one to say the Bulls don't need a rush for a four, but just imagine this. Imagine how different this game would have looked for the Bulls if they had a four like Christian Woods. And I'm not saying they need to trade for him. I'm just saying they need the Bulls lack of aggression on offensive rebounds is telling, and it has been throughout the season. Now the Bulls have been able to overcome it throughout a big part of the season just because of the way and the intensity in which they played in. They only got out rebounded overall by 4 rebounds in this game. I believe they won the turnover battle as well. At least they were for the most part of this. Yeah, they only had 13 to 20 turnovers. So you can't even point to that. But something. It's something going on with this team. And Zach LaVine, as much as I love Zach LaVine, and I still say that he deserves the max, he makes some dumbass choices out there. We're starting to see bad ball handling Zach again. We saw a little bit of it throughout the season, but the last like 3 games, really, it's been really bad where he has had some major turnovers and terrible passes where he tries to do some things that it's just not working. It's just not working. This game was inexcusable. AK sees exact, and that's the thing. I do trust AK to make, and it's listen. The Bulls bench, I know we were saying we had a bench mob and everything else early on in the season. The Bulls bench is being exposed right now, and the lack of a 4. As much as people were down on Patrick Williams right now, the lack of having him is just a body who's in there and who plays. He didn't play as intense, right, because of the injuries, but you would think that once that injury went away, some of that would change. The Bulls need to do something, right? They need to do something. And I've been saying for the longest, wait till the buyout market. You don't need to rush to do something or whatever else. Maybe that changes now. Maybe that changes now. I have no words. I'm seething out the mouth. Nothing but sloppy lethargy. Exactly. And the thing is that I don't know if the Bulls got so used to their ability to come back that they just had this cockiness like, oh, well, we can erase any lead. You haven't been able to lately. It hasn't been working. And then like the season started off with it feeling like Zach LaVine was picking his moments. He knew that he could take over most games whenever he wanted to, and he can get off. Hasn't really like he's scored solidly if you just look at the numbers in themselves, but if you watch the games, and I don't want to blame him on the thumb, right? The thumb hasn't been an issue outside of maybe the first 2 games after the injury. He's not to say that it's not an issue completely, but he's been working around it. I don't know. It's just so much going on with the and even DeMar DeRozan, and it could be in my preview video today. I did talk about the fact that the minutes that Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan have been playing, DeMar is like I can't remember. I think he's like tied for 15th in the league in minutes scored. He's an older player. Like, yes, he's been playing great this season, but I think sometimes we forget is how advanced he is in his career because of how well he's been playing. We need to get those minutes down, but that means the bench has to play better than what they have been. And Kobe, listen here, I still don't think the Bulls should give up on Kobe White. I'm not saying that at all. But he needs to just stop fucking shooting if he ain't got it, man. I get shooting as a shooter. You want to shoot yourself out of it. It ain't been happening, man. It ain't been happening. Lose to the bottom of the West tonight. Let's lose to the bottom of the East next. Jesus, man. That can't happen. That can't happen. This is insane, man. We're the most embarrassing team right now. Portland, Pacers, then this panic. We need to play. This is an excuse. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not funny, but like you want to laugh to keep from being pissed off. At least me. I'm looking at this game the whole time, and I'm not. There was that period in the fourth where it looked like the Bulls got the lead down to like 2, and it looked like okay, this is going to be a Bulls game. They're going to take this over in the last 3 minutes. It's going to be all good. We'll talk about how they came back and whatever else, and then like I really do think that call on Lonzo Ball, that offensive foul on his 3-pointer, it took so much momentum out of them, and that was a stupid call. It was, and then the fact that it was challenged and they still upheld the call. Come on, man. Come on. Really didn't coach the best, and our 3-point defense was you're right. I don't know what the big difference is in the Bulls defense. Really, if we're being honest, the Bulls defense in like the last 4 or 5 games has been questionable in spots. The last like 2 games has just been fucking terrible, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if that intensity and that stuff that they started off the season with, if it's just, again, we had a long West Coast trip, came back to backs. I don't know if it's some of that, but they need to figure out a way to get it back, because if they want to ascend where a lot of us as fans think that they can, this is not going to fucking cut it. It's not going to cut it. The refs did a horrible job. The refs, absolutely. But get this. The fact that the Bulls were still in it at one point, and like I said, the way that the Bulls have been officiated in the last handful of games, like I said before, I don't know if it's because of Zach LaVine's complaining, if they feel like they got to teach them a lesson, and the whole team kind of gets chippy at certain times with refs. I don't know if it's like this collective thing. Okay, let's bring the Bulls back down to make sure that they're respecting the refs and the calls. I don't know, but you can't tell me that some of that doesn't happen. Nelson's game, no excuses. Absolutely. That's how I feel. There are no excuses. They keep fucking up the spreads, but I'm telling you, and when I'm too much of a conspiracy theorist to not believe that some of that is involved in this. Should have thrown DJ Green in there before Bradley, man. The thing is, with Bradley's link, it's like when Bradley plays good, you really see why the Bulls signed him as their backup center. But when it's not, man, he does it's like Bradley either gets everything right to a degree, to his skill level, right? Or nothing. Like there's times where like they get Bradley the ball in the middle, and literally all you would think he would have to do is go up strong and dunk it, and it's just like he fumbles it, right? It goes somewhere. Like again, I like Bradley overall, but maybe we're seeing that Bradley's better as maybe the third man off the bench, and that's why maybe his minutes are low. I don't know. Was at the Pacers game? Oh man, hats off to you, bro. If you were at that pair, I would have walked out. Like I get so frustrated when the Bulls, and not just when the Bulls lose, when the Bulls just don't play up to the level that we know that they can. If this would have happened 2-3 years ago with that team, it's like, okay, it happens, right? This Boylan's the coach, he's fucking terrible, whatever else. With this, it's like those type of losses hurt even worse in these cases because we know that they're capable of better. That Pacers game should have never got out of hand. This game should have never been in question in the way that it was. They need a wake-up call. Maybe this is the wake-up call that the team needs. I thought the last game was going to be getting blown out on your home court would have been, but now these two things back-to-back, hopefully this wakes them the fuck up. And I know I'm cursing on a live stream. YouTube's probably going to fucking kill me, but it is what it is. I got to be honest. We got open shots, but we're not hitting. The Bulls are being exposed for their weaknesses right now. Exposed for the weaknesses. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for the Bulls, and we can get something going before the year is over. I mean, definitely they're going to get something going. It's too much of the season left, right? That's why I said I want to be honest, but I don't want to panic. Because I do trust this team. I do trust this front office. I do trust even Billy Donovan to get this team back on the right path. Zach LaVine hasn't had a team this talented. I just refuse to believe that this season is going to go completely left. We're probably going to have. I had one said on the video. I don't see the Bulls losing 3 or more games back to back at all. I don't see any point in the season where the Bulls lose 3 games back to back. But with the way they've been playing now, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Orlando comes and busts their ass. Like I just wouldn't. It would suck, right? It shouldn't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised. When you think about like the emotions of Wendell Carter and everything, like if the Bulls can't get their shit together, it's going to be tough. And that's the thing, right? Is that if this type of loss would have happened earlier in the season, we would have said, okay, they're getting the chemistry back together or wherever else. The Bulls came into the season playing so closely together, having that great chemistry, having that ball movement where everything was moving freely around and people were moving off the ball and it just was really pretty basketball. All that's fucking gone. Like, yes, the Bulls offense never really hit that high that we thought there would coming into the season. That most people, we thought that the defense was going to be much worse than what it was. The offense was going to be much better than what it was. Right now, we're starting to see that kind of even out, but the offense is not getting any better. It's not. It's actually getting worse as far as ball movement, as far as spacing. And that kind of made sense when Vooch wasn't there. But at this point now, yes, it was Vooch's first game back. They didn't shoot a great percentage or whatever else. Maybe it completely changes next game, but we have to be honest in the way that we talk about it. This was an embarrassing loss, period. Exactly. Like I'm telling you right now, if Zach LaVine is going to be the franchise player that we think that he can be and that he wants to be, right? The superstar that he wants to rise to, Zach LaVine, by example, right? Not by chewing out teammates, not by bitching at refs. Zach LaVine, by example, in the way that he executes plays and plays with an efficient way and with a purpose and stops doing these fucking dumbass turnovers needs to come. We need to see that version of Zach LaVine in the next game to wake this team up. This team, as much as DeMar has led this team in scoring, led the team in minutes, the team is going to go the way that Zach LaVine goes. And we need Zach LaVine as the This is his time, right? This is his time. You want to be the franchise guy? You want to be that max player? Now that your team is facing adversity, how are you going to come out and right these wrongs? How are you going to do that? In yourself. We need to see that from Zach V. He needs to learn discipline officially. In my opinion, they should have tried a Zoe DeMar Caruso DJ when Zach takes bad shots, hold him accountable, and that's what he needs to grow. Zach, and that's the thing, right? Is that in this season, the fact that they went to DeMar in certain times down the stretches and when the games were close because DeMar was able to get to the line, if not score a bucket, should have been a wake up call to Zach LaVine of, okay, yes, DeMar is the veteran, but why isn't it me, right? And it worked. So while it was working, that's fine. We need some we face some adversity. We need to see Zach LaVine step the fuck up. Period. And if it's not, then we need to see DeMar as the veteran to step the fuck up. Hopefully both of them can do it. But something needs to happen here because this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Imagine this in a playoff series. That's the thing that I judge the team by, right? I don't panic because I still think the Bulls are gonna definitely make the playoffs. Still think they're gonna go and run on in the playoffs or whatever else. I judge this team through the lens of where I think they can go, not necessarily right now. But losses like against the Pacers, losses like tonight against the Houston Rockets in a playoff series, that could change the outlook of a whole series. You need to get that shit together. We can't have performances like that if we want to be taken seriously in the playoffs. I was really looking forward to a bounce back. You and me both, brother. I don't know if you saw my preview video, but I was expecting the Bulls this to be a bounce back. They got Caruso, they got Vooch back. This had all the makings of a game of, all right, let's get back on track. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Never play down to your opponent. Championship teams do not play down to their opponents. That's all I'm going to say with that one. Love Io, but he's making very costly mistakes. And don't get me started. Listen, Io has always made mistakes, right? But the thing is that Io and the things he did great, you understood as a rookie he's going to make mistakes. Io has always made some mistakes. When his shot's not falling, when the team is playing bad overall, of course, those mistakes get highlighted, right? Because it's mistakes in a mistake-filled game. But Io, the fact that a lot of Io's mistakes are when you can tell the speed of the game, just overall being a rookie and still learning. A lot of his mistakes are from that. So the thing with Io is once those rookie mistakes come up, right, and they even out with his skill level and his intensity and just him being a smart basketball player, we got a dangerous player on our hands in the form of Io. But it's going to happen with every rookie. The ref decision on Lonzo 3 was the worst. I haven't seen a call like the fact that somebody ran into him and they said it was excessive because he bumped into them on his way down. He should have never been on his fucking way down. And the way that the Bulls were called in this game, if the Bulls did that same thing, it would have been a 4-point play for the other team. That's what pisses me off. It's not just the call within itself. It's if they were calling things that way for both teams throughout the game, okay, fine. That's just how the refs are officiating the game. But it definitely feels like the Bulls are being officiated differently. And maybe it was because the Bulls busted so many spreads to the beginning of the season. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Have a whole podcast where I do some conspiracy theories on not basketball ones, just ones in life in general. But it's something's going on here with the way that the Bulls are being officiated. Even if it's not a dirty tactic type thing, like I said, I think the refs are trying to send the Bulls a message. That's my personal opinion. I love DJJ, but damn it, he's not a center. I'm not a fan of small ball lineups at all. I wish BD could run some more balance. Okay. So, yes, I mean, the makeup of our team, we're always going to play some version of small ball. That's just the makeup of our team. Is Derrick Jones Jr. center? Absolutely not. Does it say a lot to his skill level that he goes up there and plays center? Absolutely. Once DJ is able to play a more consistent 3-4 role, I think we're going to have a great bench player and a contributor in Derrick Jones Jr. The Bulls needed Troy Brown Jr.'s contract. It's bullshit. Do something with that. Second round pick. I don't give a fuck at this point. You don't want to wait on the buyout. You want to wait on the buyout. You want to call DeMarcus Cousins. I don't care. Something needs to happen. And again, this is not to be panic. This is not to be knee-jerk and say, do it right now. I do trust the front office's ability that they're going to get it done. And when they do get it done, we're probably going to look back and be like, we probably didn't think about that deal. That is a great deal for the Chicago Bulls. They did something here. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be a difficult time. We're going to play small ball until then, from now to then. But I really do trust the front office to get it done. It's just how they get it done. That's going to be the key there. I also realized this game was trending to ISO ball. That listen, I don't know what happened because this team started off with playing so freely, and it seemed like everybody getting their shot opportunities. Even though Vucic wasn't falling, he was getting opportunities. They were going to him early. Even when the bench came in, they were like moving the ball around and playing in the passing lanes and getting out in transition, and it was just fun basketball to watch. Even like I know that we've had 2 losses in a row, but the last like 4 games really haven't been fun to watch. Let's just be honest. They haven't been fun games to watch. It's great when the Bulls win and you are involved in your team, but they haven't been fun games anymore. That offensive fun that we thought we were going to have in the season and we got a little bit at the beginning of the season is all but gone. And I think the Bulls need to get that back. And I think when they do get that back, a lot of things are going to change for this team. Being 29th in bench scoring is terrible, definitely. And I have been harping, and this is one of the reasons why I was against trading Kobe White, because there's really been no team that has scored or ranked that bad in offensive bench production that has gone on a deep playoff run. We have a lot of solid players on the bench, right? That do things, that do specialized things, that have limited skill sets, but in those in their positives in their skill sets, when they're playing well, are really good. We need an offensive player on the bench. If that ends up being Kobe, if it ends up being Io, which I don't think, especially not in his first season, whoever it ends up being, we need that. And as Zach and DeMar keep playing so many minutes, it's a long season, and it's going to get more bleaker and bleaker if we don't improve that bench scoring at some point. We shouldn't. Period. We should not lose to a dead ball team. That's a great comment from Antonio Washington. Yeah. I don't think we need a big man center. I disagree there. We need a big man who can play probably the 4 or 5, primarily the 4, who is solid on defense, solid on offensive rebounding, does some shot blocking, and is just a player who just gets shit done. That's what we need. We don't need a superstar. We don't need a star. We don't need we don't even need an elite player at the 4. We need somebody with an elite rebounding and rim protection skill set, but not necessarily an elite player overall. And I think that completely changed the dynamic of this team. When you really look at like, I don't want to get into comparisons right now. I was going to go down some paths, but I don't want to get into that right now. It's going to be a long video where we got questions and everything, but I don't think the Bulls need a center. They just need a big man, probably who can play both roles, that is great at rebounding, great at shot blocking, and plays with some energy and can hit an open shot. Because the thing is that whoever plays this is going to get open shots, whether that's mid-range, whether it's 3, just because of how dangerous everybody else is on this team and playing with Lonzo Ball. They're going to get open shots. Can they nail down that open shot? They don't have to be featured on offense. They don't have to have plays necessarily called for them. But if they can hit the shot when they get open because of the way teams are defending everybody else, that's the type of big man that I want to see on this team. Still, but what does the price, a big man like I just described, what do you think the price is for that? I would say an $8 to $10 million contract, probably. Again, Thad Young would love to have on this team. Thies, I would love to have back on this team. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We need way more pick and roll with app. And this is the thing that I think is starting to hurt, right? Because DeMar goes to ISO ball, Zach goes to ISO ball. Really, when things get down, when everybody on the team has talked so much about how smart Lonzo is as a point guard, how smart he is as a player. He's a coach on the floor. But yet, really, when you look at it, when the shit gets tough, they go to DeMar and they go to Zach. And I understand why, because they're the best scoring duo in the NBA so far this season. But when you really want an offensive set run, that ball needs to be in Lonzo Ball's hands more than what we've seen. And I'm not saying the whole game needs to be like that, but I would like to see it go and switch to that a little bit more as the season goes on to see really what Lonzo can do as being a floor general. Yes, the traditional point guard role, the Chris Paul, there's not a lot of those anymore. And I'm not saying that we need to play like that the whole game, but I'm saying we need to see more of that to see what Lonzo can do, because I have faith that Lonzo can do it. I don't doubt Lonzo's ability to do it. The team just hasn't let him do it so far. Yeah, that's an understatement. They came in thinking it would be an easy win, and it showed. You're absolutely right. This team needs to learn how to play hard and high energy for a full 48 minutes. Also, Billy's rotations have been questionable for a while. And again, when the Bulls are winning, we don't question it as much. Well, sometimes we still do, right? We look back at it and be like, hey, I wonder why Haize only didn't play any minutes tonight in the game where we could have used some more rebounding. But maybe, like I said before, and this is my theory, and if you guys have watched me live before, you've heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it again. I really do think that Alize Johnson must not be grasping the offensive schemes or the defensive schemes, and that's why he's not on the floor more. It's something that we're not seeing as fans just watching the game, that Billy Donovan as a coach is seeing that he's probably not doing in practice, that has led to him not getting more minutes. That's just my personal opinion. I have no proof to that. Haven't read anything about that. That's just what I think. We lost tonight, but on the bright side, the Wizards got blown out by the Pelicans, and Miami lost to the Wolves. There's no bright spot in the loss to me. We're too early in the season for it to be for playoff positioning. So it's I get what you're saying, and I agree, right? And I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to come at your opinion at all, but at this point now, other teams losing around us, I really don't care about, because we're way too early in the season for ones and maybe back in, we'll look at it back and be like, hey, if we would have won that game, we would have got a 3 seed instead of a 4 seed. But right now, there's no bright side to a loss like this in the last 2 losses the Bulls had. To me, that's just me as a pessimistic Bulls fan, right? I'm the bearded Bulls fan. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I completely understand yours. I think at this point, if we want to be a good playoff team, positives of trading code. No. And here's why I disagree with that, Nicholas. As far as the positives, because what we need in a big man to help fill that hole doesn't have to come from. Even with that being said, what do you think Kobe White's trade value? And for everyone who's just thinking that trading Kobe White is going to be a player who played out of position, showed that he can't be a point guard, right? Coming off the first major injury of his career, has had one game where he's looked decent at, and the rest of that, even in playing minutes, has not shot the ball well at all. You have a off-ball guard who is supposed to be a scorer, who hasn't shot the ball well coming off an injury. There's not going to be much. You're not going to get what you think you're going to get back for Kobe White right now. You're just not. You might as well let him play out the season, see if he can. I don't think that what Kobe, unless just another team believes in the potential of Kobe White and what he can develop into, trading Kobe White is not going to get the Bulls, get us what we need right now. That's why I say we can get some of that by the buyout market. If the Bulls end up not losing a first round pick, maybe they do something with that and then paired with Kobe White. But even then, you can use Troy Brown, who's just not in the rotation at all. There's a lot more. The key isn't Kobe White. Now, he can be part of it, right? I'm not saying it's not a world in which a Kobe White trade can't get you what you need, but us just zeroing in as Kobe being the object of the apple of our eye to solve this power forward issue, it's not. He's not it. Like, really, when you look at it objectively, and again, Nicholas, this isn't just you. This is me, like the Bulls fandom in general, talking about this trade thing. We like to think of these trades, right, and think that somehow our trash is just going to get us what we need back. It's not. Kobe White's trade value is probably the lowest that it's been right now. If he didn't get an injury, if he had maybe 3, 4, 5 games where he scored 10 or plus more points and it looked like he was coming out of it, okay. But Kobe, with the way that he's played now and an injury, he's not going to get. I would bet the trade market for Kobe White is low as fuck right now. That's just my guess. Yes, I've noticed since Portland game, officiating has not been in our favor at all. Even it has not. It's not, whether we're home, whether we're away. Like I said, I don't know who it was. Javonte Green got that look on him. I feel like somebody fucked one of the refs' wives. That's just my conspiracy theorist again. Bulls blew my ticket. Damn, man. Shit. It's just ridiculous. I thought they would win after the Pacers lost. Rockets with 116 makes 0. Yeah, it doesn't at all. Definitely at all. The rest fouled out Vooch because he was the one who could have make the difference. With the way this game was going, I can see positive. I can agree or disagree with that. I can't say that you're wrong, but hey. It's more comfortable. It's already there. Reminder that he had 8 threes. And the thing is, again, Bulls 29th in the league in bench scoring. You and not the number, because I had this conversation with somebody in the comments. They're like, well, a Bulls team won a championship with a similar point per game scoring. But yeah, they didn't rank that low. The bench scoring in the NBA at that point in time was not what it is nowadays. Tell me where a team that ranked 29th in bench scoring made a significant playoff run. If anybody can get me that, I'll shut the fuck up right now about it. I feel like LaVine's not ready to be a superstar. No, I think he's ready. I think for somebody who hasn't won yet, right? Keep in mind, once players get to the point of winning, they develop this almost like sixth sense of what it takes to win. And yes, he won in the Olympics. He wasn't the main player in there. He did contribute and he played solid defense and all those things, and it changed his outlook. But now we're back in the regular season. We're back in the thick of it. He still needs to develop that mindset that it's not about coming out and me dropping 50 on you. And that shows it's the leadership aspect of being it. He's ready to be a superstar on the floor as far as play, efficiency, whatever else. But that leadership part of it, we need to see Zach LaVine develop that we're not going to lose this game because I'm not going to let you guys fail. I'm going to uplift you instead of oh, we're losing. I'm going to shoot 15 buckets back to back to back, and I'm going to get his, like, it's a difference in that. And he needs to develop that side of his game, I think, to me. Start of his game is, yeah. I mean, nobody's a perfect player. That's why I said it's the leadership that I look for LaVine some more. And then, like, not getting frustrated, that poise, right? The poise. LeBron, I know compared it to LeBron is such a high difference, right? But LeBron does get frustrated. But he gets frustrated in times. He gets chatty with the refs or whatever else. But when it's like really serious and it's crunch time, he doesn't jabber refs. He may give a look. He may do whatever else. But you see him out there talking. You see him like even sometimes yelling at his teammates to get them back motivated, to get them back frustrated. You don't see that with Zach very much. And I know he may just not be as verbal of a person, but we need to see some of that develop from Zach as well. Lakers let go of him. I think he may be a decent rebounder. Again, I at this point, I'm not against the Bulls signing anyone who's a free agent because they can always be cut, right? If they did sign him, to give him a try, I wouldn't scream or be like, what are you doing? Why are you bringing him in? Because at the end of the day, if the Bulls do have a deal on the table, somebody does get bought out, they can easily cut Matt Thomas' contract. They easily cut anybody that they can sign to bring that person in. So the Bulls really are at this point right now that, do you mess up the chemistry by just throwing somebody in who you may not have a long-term goal to, long-term ties to? Okay, I can see that argument. But bringing in somebody with that has some possible upside to see what they can do, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. What a crap. Well, this is a fucking shit show. That's what it was, bro. Shit show. I love Lonzo, bit of fantasy, Lucy, but we need him to run the offensive. I agree. I kind of talked about that earlier. I think I already went to that comment. My bad. Looking back before the season started, AK should have signed James in his third. Still available, by the way, for a stretch four instead of Matt Thomas. Someone that can play D and hit. Okay. Skill set, yes. I tend to lean towards, if nobody else in the NBA signed the person, usually that says something, right? Not to say that there haven't been times where somebody signs late in the season, they end up being somewhat of a factor. But again, unless somebody picks up Enos the third at some point, and then like in a month we see that he's balling out of control, be like, fuck. But as of right now, I'm not necessarily dinging him for that. But I understand you saying that he can do those things and he has that skill set to do it. Take a look at him. His role just looks too similar to New Orleans right now. I can completely understand that, even though he's playing with better competition. And like I said, I understand why he's not going to be the traditional Chris Paul style point guard where he's just running the offense every time, because like I've said before, you want DeMar doing some of the ball handling sometimes because you trust Lonzo more to make an open three than you trust DeMar to make a three. But still, with that being said, we'll see how it goes. I was good for sure. Listen, there's some times out there. Go look at some of the in-between things, right? Down balls, like when they're walking back down. There's some times where they're all three of them are looking at each other kind of at different times, like, man, what the fuck? So it definitely happens. Veneman, I think the leader of the team is still no, and I agree, right? I agree that LaVine is the leader of the team. He should be the leader of the team, but you don't see him doing the things out there when the Bulls get down. Oh, you see him get frustrated, you see him getting chippy with the West, and then you see him going iso ball and just shooting everything. You don't really see that leadership come through sometimes in that. So I definitely think that. So LaVine needs to stop making these dumbass mistakes and needs to start getting held account. Absolutely. DeMar needs to be in LaVine's ear. Vooch even. Like, and that's the thing, when you look at this team, they have a nice mix of youth and experienced players, but they need that they need that old guy who's like just there to try to win a ring or whatever, but who when the down balls are coming, will be like, hey man, Zach, bro, you fucking up. And then he's gonna respect, right? Not to say he doesn't respect people on the team as is. I'm just saying. What the hell is something about this team I do not like, but I do not know yet? Yeah, it's some. You're right. It's something, right? It's something tangible, but it's hard to put into words. I agree with you there. We have too many guards. We need clearly. Come on, man. Come on. I know you. I know you got something better to give than what we all know with roster construction. We know this, man. We knew this coming into the season. Give me something more than that. He's playing 2 balls. What do you expect? Oh, that's a response to Lonzo playing. It's not just about ball. Like, okay, let's cut this narrative right here on the stream. It's not that Lonzo is not doing more of the ball handling because he's playing with ball hogs. It's the design of the offense. I've said this before. I pointed this out before, even in this stream. The design of the offense is that Vooch and DeMar do a lot of the half court sets because you trust Lonzo more shooting the three. And he's shown that this season. He's shooting the three great overall this season. DeMar, you don't really want him out there floating, and he's going to clog the lane sometimes, so you might as well have him do the ball handling and hope that if Lonzo is going to make the three, which you can trust him to do that. It's not about playing. Come on, let's not do that. It's not that he's playing with ball hogs. It's the design of the offense. And we can talk about the flaws in the design of the offense all day because I do believe I agree that those flaws are there. We need to play with more ball, with more freedom of ball movement and everything like that. And like I said, I wouldn't mind. Lonzo absolutely has the capability to be that traditional style point guard where he just runs the offense and everything goes through him. But the makeup of this team and the way that this team's offense has been, that's just not the role that they designed for him. But let's not put it on ball hogs. It's not about playing with ball hogs. That I don't like that. I don't like the way that was worded. So don't ever bring the ball up. Agree. I kind of just touched on that. They shot a real high 3-point percentage. Kobe's a bench player, nothing more, nothing less. Yeah, I don't think anybody's disputing that Kobe's a bench player, but it's how effective he can be in the bench player role. Because let's not just act like because somebody's a bench player, it means that they still don't have a high rate and ability to contribute. Caruso's a bench player. Now, again, that's a completely different skill set, but there is a role for a bench playing guard who does nothing but score and shoots well. Kobe needs to bring that shooting well part of it, though. Portis would be good. Okay, Portis ain't coming, man. He just won the title. Portis ain't coming. Come on, man. Yeah, like what 4XXXX, bro? You're killing me. Give me something more tangible, bro. Give me something more tangible. Trade Kobe for Silva. Listen here, man. Almost, and then watching this game, I wouldn't mind trading Kobe for fucking Eric Gordon at this point. There were so many times we just didn't close out on 3-point shots. Defensive rotation has been terrible. And by that, I mean the closeouts, right? Even pick and roll defense at certain times. Just not good. Not good. Why does Lonzo not score in the second half? 2 points. Is it coaching fault? It's some of that. Like, let's keep in mind, Lonzo's contributions are not just in the stat line. I get it. The like seeing a player score a lot is an easy way to see how they contribute or did not contribute to the team. But I've said this before. I have a whole video on this. Lonzo's contributions when the Bulls were playing better defense is like, look at the way that he's out there talking, that he's moving people around, that he's calling out what the other offenses are about to do. His contributions are so much more than just offense. Like, yes, you would like to see him score more, but Lonzo on this team is never going to be a huge scorer. It's just not going to happen. And Vinny the Bull be frustrated with the shots Zach takes. Yeah, he takes some dumb shots sometimes, right? So like teams really shoot well against us, and it's kind of frustrating. They don't do this against other teams. It's the closeouts. It's the rotate. But again, keep in mind we've been playing with players out of position for the most part this whole season. He just tries to shoot himself out. Absolutely, he does. He does, and sometimes he does. Sometimes he's very effective in that. I think the difference is that we need to see when LaVine's shot isn't going, is for him to go and try to get to the foul line more. Now, with that being said, the refs haven't been calling. That's part of why Zach's been getting so frustrated. And maybe that's why we're not seeing Zach try to draw more fouls, is because he just feels like the refs aren't going to give it to him. So I'm going to take this jump shot. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to excuse it, but I'm just trying to analyze it. Vucevic's voice is important, to be honest, because I feel he truly had to carry his team and improve his game. DeMar has Zach hasn't seen the playoffs at times. You see him talk in huddles to calm it down. Yeah, for sure. But let's not act like Vucevic has had huge amount of success either. But they're all their voices are important. That was trash, and I had a feeling we would play down to the Rockets, but their bench stepped the fuck up, right? Step the fuck up. Trade the whole Bulls bench. No, let me just play. I hate videos like that. This is just me or Caruso been missing hella open threes consistently lately. I just wish we were more balanced play designs on offense to keep him at the corner at the top of the key. I agree. I see where you're coming from with that. I feel like Zach, DeMar, Lonzo, and Billy, maybe AK as well, all need to sit down and discuss how the Bulls truly want to play offense. It's gone downhill since the Warriors game. And it's going to happen. Like, they were on a long road trip. They had back-to-backs. I don't know when the Bulls have like a few days of being off and not really playing basketball, but once they get a chance to get in there and show some tape and watch these last two losses, I really do expect Billy to kind of look at them like show a play, a failed rotation, a failed shot, and just look at it and be like, do you see it? And then, it's going to happen. He's a shooting guard, not a point guard. He got to stop making decisions with the ball and let DeMar do that when the rotation comes. He hasn't been making the right pass. I mean, yes and no, right? Well, yes. Kobe doesn't always make the right passes. He doesn't have the best decision making in running an offense type thing, but it's not just as simple as that. Like, even there's always going to be ball movement is key, right? And I think more than saying Kobe is trying to run anything is that the way that the ball moves needs to move with intention. And we saw that at the beginning of the season. That's not happening now. It just really is like now it's like, all right, how can you pass around? Oh, the ball got to Zach. The ball got to DeMar. It is what it is. He get calls and he yells at refs. And the thing is, once Zach LaVine gets pissed off with the refs, it's fucked. Like, almost the rest of the game. Like, it's in his head. You can see it. He's frustrated. Like, he starts driving and just flails his body up. And then when he doesn't get a call, it's even more frustrating, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And then it culminates in, okay, let me just start taking these shots. Zach has to get out of his head with the refs. Yes, what the refs have been doing is very shitty. I'm not excusing that. But you got to overcome it. You got to just go out there and play. As an athlete, losses get to you and make you underperform. That's why we need to be hungry and get that win so we can just get back into that win column and get a better rhythm going. Absolutely. I agree with you there. Absolutely. We need a win. We need a couple of wins. We need to get back on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak, quite honestly, because what needs to happen with this Bulls team is, right, it's always, you're always going to face adversity over the course of a long NBA season. It's all about how you bounce back and how you plan. And it's just not on the players. It's not just on the coaches. It's about the culmination of everything coming together. How are you guys going to bounce back? And like I said before earlier in this video, I do truly think that the league as a whole has more tape on the Bulls. They have more tape on what DeMar and LaVine and Zoe, how they play together and everything else and what they're trying to do. And now they're adjusting to that. And then now we need to see the Bulls further adjust. We need to get back to more ball movement. When the ball is moving fluidly for the Bulls, and like I said, is moving with intention, they're always going to be difficult to guard because they have so many scoring and shooting threats on this team. They need to get back to that. We've gotten away from that over the course of the last handful of games. Slowly but surely, we've gotten away from that completely. We need to get back to that. Zoe had 17 in the first and 2 in the second. In the first half, we were winning. And towards the second half, DeMar and LaVine started playing hero balls. Zoe needs more shots. Again, Zoe is not his role in here is like, yeah, okay. More open shots, yes. But if you're looking for Zoe to be featured offensively, that's not the role of, and I don't even know if that's Zoe's best role either. Now, running the offense through him, I can get behind. But that's just not he's gonna. I don't know. I don't know. What's going on, Antonio? What's going on? You're right about. I mean, it wasn't. Let me not act like I'm freaking Nostradamus, right? I really did think that Caruso was in that starting lineup to add that passing that we lost when Vooch went out, and Javonte Green just doesn't give us that. Once Vooch was back, able to stretch, able to pass, able to run through him some more, just made more sense to move Caruso to the bench. But again, Caruso's always going to play starter level minutes. Bulls need to also remind them they're not all that yet. DeMar and Zach will set that tempo again, in my opinion. We're about to see it from your mouth / keyboard to God's ears. Let's make that happen. When we play slow and move the ball, we're deadly. That's literally why, like, Utah was so successful. And the reason we beat them is because we shut the movement down, but their ball movement is why. Agreed. Especially when you have players playing out of roles, especially when you are a team that isn't really looking to get a lot of offensive rebounds, so to say. You do need to move, like I said, move the ball with intention. It's dangerous. It's hard to stop a team that the ball moves so freely because everyone is somewhat of a scoring threat, right? Not saying everyone needs to score 20, not saying even everyone needs to score 15. But when you have starters where every person on that team can get to double digit points and the ball can move and whatever else, it's dangerous. It's hard to stop any team that plays like that, regardless of skill level. When you add in the skill level of the Bulls, that's a dangerous combination. Still got the Bulls. I still absolutely think that they can make the Eastern Conference Finals. This doesn't shake me. Like I said, we're not panicking yet. We're not panicking. Now, if the Bulls go on like a 5-game losing streak, all right, then it may be time to hit that red button, right? It may be time to hit that red button, but I don't foresee that happening. Yo, Rockets had lost 15 in a row before tonight. Man, listen, shit's bullshit. That's what it is. I think it's not capitalized on forced turnovers and other mistakes are our biggest problem that no one really talks about, and you can tell because everyone gets passive and hesitant. I think what happens is that how we saw the Bulls start off this season with, like I said, playing in those pass lanes, forcing turnovers, getting out in transition. Now that the calls have seemed to switch and every ticky-tack foul goes against the Bulls, maybe they're a little hesitant to do that now, right? Maybe they're a little hesitant. Maybe they're trying to play defense more with their body than with their hands when they're getting in those passing lanes because they don't want to be called for fouls. What, in the New Year's game, 18 free throws in the first half. I know it wasn't very much better in the game against the Pacers, even though we won that game against the Knicks, but still, the way that the Bulls are being officiated, I think it's getting in the Bulls' head with defense, but rightfully so, right? Because you don't want to foul out. It's not his role, but when Zoe is hot, we need him to get more shots, and that will come with ball movement. Hopefully, that I can absolutely agree with. And when you look at like when the Bulls were moving the ball more fluidly, with the way that the confidence that Zoe had in that 3-point, it has in the 3-point shot. Let me not talk past tense. Is that it really, you can't back off of the only player that the opposing team could have backed off on was really Javonte Green, right? In the Bulls starting lineup. But then at one point, Javonte was hitting wide open shots, so he was at least forcing it to have a big dunk or to get to the foul line. We need to get back to that ball movement. ISO ball is not going to work for us in the long term. It's not winning basketball. I think we're going to big move before the trade deadline for a stretch four who's also good in defense. See, that's the thing. I don't think we need a stretch. I don't think, well, if he has some open shot making ability, I've said this early in the stream, I just don't think the offense is really what we need in the four. Think about if you replace Javonte Green in the starting lineup, and this is just a Bulls player, right? With a Taj Gibson, right? A player that was was going to go hard on rebounding, was going to go hard in playing defense, that was going to hustle all minutes and could hit an open mid-range shot, and then later in his career he added a 3-point shot. But that type of player, right? We don't need a star. We don't need an elite player. We need a really good, solid player. That's what I think. Not sure if we talked about this, but we need to feed the hot hand, which was Lonzo tonight, and it was apparent tonight. We just listen. When Lonzo gets hot, it's always like it comes in spurts, right? Like Lonzo will hit off 3 really good shots and make them or whatever else, and then we immediately go away from it. And like I said, that may be by design. That may be with the fact that Lonzo's role is never going to be being a big time scorer on this team. It could be a lot of different factors. But I do agree with you. When somebody's hot, we should feed that hot and build the offense around that. Because what happens is even if you keep feeding the hot player, the other team then has to adjust to that. They may start trying to double, which then opens up other players around. Again, I'm not a coach. They play Billy Donovan, who's a lot smarter at this than me, and hopefully he can get it together. Zach and DeBar need to pass. What are they looking at when they rewatch these games? Listen, like I said before, if I was coach Billy Donovan, I would pick out the 20 worst plays from each player, put it on a tape, and play it for them, and just sit back and watch their response to it, right? Because in watching the players' response to how bad they played and how worse, it'll tell you a lot about their heart. It'll tell you a lot about their determination, tell you a lot about their mindset as players as well. That's what I would be doing. Utah don't have big hogs who have bad soft selections as their star player. Again, the ball hog narrative. I'm getting off of. It's not about being a ball hog, bro. Come on now, we're too old for that. Let's break it down into what's actually happening. You say iso ball, but they're not ball hogs. They're not ball hogs, man. Was in beating Citizen, that's a blunt reality check. Listen, I'm not seeing red right now, where I'm like see red Fred with the Bulls win a title. The Bulls are in the conversation, and let's not let a couple of bad losses distract us from how good this team can be when they're playing well. They just need to get back to playing well. I would pass those. Luka would pass those. That's the difference. LeBron, I love the. I had to poke some fun. Zach and DeMar in love with their stats more than the team. Oh my god, bro! I'm gonna stop having to go to you because that listening to how it's not. They're neither one of the players are in love with their stats. They're in love with trying to get this team to win, and they're trying to do it. Come on, man. That we're not doing slander and bullshit here. Nets, my bad. I mean, like missing open layups and dunks, ball slipping out of hands, trying to rush. We get so much of that, especially from Tony Bradley. Beat the Nets. It's got no sense. All right. Sorry, I keep stressing this point, but I have to move. I have to think a move does need to happen sooner rather than later. Our H9 rotation is going to compete without the 3-and-D power forward. I mean, we have been competing, right? And again, this is not to say that once the and this thing, I trust AK and Eversley when the perfect deal, when the right deal, right? Not even perfect deal, when the right deal or move becomes available, they're going to pounce on it. I think as fans, we get anxious, right? But to think like AK is a very close to the chest, a very tactile person, right? And he moves with intention. And he sees this hole, right? There's no world in which I don't think AK and Eversley are not working and doing what they can to figure out how to fix this hole, but they're going to do it in a way that makes sense for this Bulls team. They're going to do it in a way that makes sense to where they don't give up too many assets, and they're going to do it in a way that that is best for this team and for the winning of this team. I fully trust that. Yes, we can say it needs to happen sooner rather than later, but if you make a deal too soon and somebody else becomes available because they get disgruntled or they want out or whatever else, or a team decides to finally go on full rebuild and sell some assets, you don't want to move too quick while the team is still for the most part winning. Yes, a couple of bad losses, but now if the team, like I said, goes on the 3, 4, 5 game losing streak, okay, maybe time to move that along. But as long as the team is still playing hard and they get back on the winning track, you don't need to be quick drawn on trading and doing moves. Don's a good coach, but he needs more fundamental, maybe to make them 3 to 5 passes before they take a shot, old school trick. Yeah, I mean, it could work. It could definitely work. Poor 4 passes before they shot unless it's an open lane. First of all, Javonte Green. Secondly, it's not again. Let's not let a couple of losses because it has been effective, right? It has been effective, especially Javonte Green at times because of because he's able to guard other fours, and then that matchup with his strength, with his speed, and everything else on the offensive end, it has absolutely worked. But it needs to work in the framework of a better run offense than what we've been running so far. Same guys that talk shit about DeMar and Zach are the same one guys praising them when they go. Exactly. We're such and I say we're a fickle fan base, but that is every fan base is so fickle with things like that. Like people, if we go on a 5-game winning streak, DeMar and LaVine will be the next coming of Michael and Pippen. We go on a 2-game losing streak. Oh, these motherfuckers are ball hogs. This is just, and that's not to pick on any one person. That's just how the nature of basketball fandom works. Was decent and solid, but the Rockets are hitting tough shots. It was more than just the tough. They were hitting when House came in, like that motherfucker. Listen, that's that. My response is all you need to know about that one. It's just Rocks. Not trying to slander them. I feel it, and I understand. I completely understand the frustration. Honestly, from one Bulls fan to another, especially with the last decade we have as PTSD as Bull fans, I absolutely get it, bro. I really do. Yes, I agree. Sorry, I'm just so pissed with the lineups lately. I feel you, bro. I'm pissed off with this team in general lately. Like, no cap, no lie. I'm just not gonna lie. Like, I have been so, and my dad, like most of you guys know probably by now if you've been following me for a while. Dad grew up in Chicago. That's why I'm a Bulls fan. I've been a Bulls fan my whole life. Chicago sports fan in general. Don't even get me started on the fucking Bears. So many people have asked me if I'm going to start a Bears channel because I don't know if like people started following me on social media. I'm probably just as lively as I am with the Chicago Bulls, I am with the Chicago Bears, but I'm letting you know right now, I could never do a Bears channel because my beard hair will turn gray within the first 6 weeks of the season, and nobody wants to see the the bearded Bulls fan with a gray fucking beard. It's not going to happen. Not sure if this played a factor or not, but the third quarter, Billy left some of the second unit in too long. This when the Lonzo and Zach were on the they were. You know what? It wasn't. It was just DeMar out there with a lot of bench players for a while. But let's keep in mind they were starting to feel like they were going to go on a run at some point during that. Then Zach and them came in, and then I think they closed the gap even more. So I kind of understand it, but at some point too, I think maybe the starters need to sit some more, right? And be like, look, this is the hole that you got us in. I don't know. That's just me. That's the game felt like last year Bulls. We won hard and beat good teams, but lost to what we thought was, yeah. That's a bad feeling to put in somebody's mouth. Dude, last season I wouldn't even be mad we lost like this. Just my ceiling. And true, bro. And that's what it is, right? There's no way that the Bulls should have lost by 30 to the Pacers. I'm not saying that the Bulls, anybody can lose, anybody can win any night. Even an 8 to 10 point win, it's like, okay, you got blown the fuck out by an inferior team. Regardless if people want to say the Pacers are better than the record, which they are, and everything like that, they are by far an inferior team. To lose by 30 points and then to lose to the worst team in the NBA. So come on, man. Which loss would you wish we can get back as a W? First Knicks game, either Sixers game or Warriors. Well, the Warriors were never in question. I would love to see us just shut the fuck. I hate Embiid. Right? Because Embiid's one of those players I hate because he's not on my team, because he's cocky, he talks shit. Those are all things that I love, right? Those are all things that are very much me as well. I would love Embiid if he was on our team, but like him coming in there and doing that wave by shit, I wanted somebody to run on the court and drop kick him in his knee. Somebody do that shit. Look, Sixers fans and Raptors fans have the most toxic fan base, I think, right now, even worse than bronsexuals. Because Raptors fans have become like Drake fans, right? Drake fans, because they follow Drake, they get inserted into hip-hop conversations that they have no form of reference into true hip-hop. Raptors fans now, because they won one championship, are very much like that. Loud, boisterous. Shut the fuck up, Raptors fans. At first, Bears himself. Now, man, listen, the Bears, and I love the Bears, bro. Like, I love the Bears. I love the franchise. I love Soldier Field, even though the motherfucker is old as shit. And it's part of my DNA. But they cause me some fucking stress, man. I have like 4 gray beard hair somewhere over here just from watching Bears games. If you guys wanted me to do a Bears channel, man, listen here. Ain't no fucking way, bro. Ain't no way. I go in cardiac arrest. Nasty games. I had to turn it off a couple times. I don't know how we lost. Listen, man. You and me both. Rockets had some good players. They had a good night. Bulls, and let's keep that in mind. Well, let's say the Bulls are going to be fine, but they need to figure out. They're starting to be exposed for their flaws. They need to figure out as more teams adjust to them in the league. They need to figure it out. They just need to figure it out. Just period, point blank. Perfect. I couldn't word that any better my damn self. It's the third quarter cruise for the Bulls. We always fell in the third quarters. You know what? I know we always have a quarter, or it seems like a stretch in which things just go left for us. Now, if that has trended to be the third quarter, that may be a video. You may have just given me time. I'm gonna have to do some heavy research into it to see like historically the Bulls third quarter so far in the season. But what that would point to me, just off the top of my head, if we're seeing a lull in the third quarter consistently, what that would tell me is that going into the halftime break, the other coach is doing better adjustments than what Billy Donovan is doing. That's what that would tell me off the top of my head. I would have to research that more to see if that's actually the trend or whatnot, and how many games it has been true in. But you just gave me some homework to do. You just gave me some homework to do. I'm gonna be on that. James, no, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a reactionary move. And I don't know if Caruso needs to be starting every game, because what he is on the bench to us is very much needed. And he's our best bench player by far. He's our most consistent bench player. We really can't, as much flashes as Io shown, we can't trust that to be consistent right now at this point in his career. Yeah, so I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand where you're getting at with that, but I don't think, like, especially with the minutes that Caruso plays, he doesn't need to start. He's gonna get his playing time, his 25 to 30 minutes a game either way. He's going to get that. That's just period, point blank. So yeah. Nah. I've been saying that for a while now, right? Like, I like Javonte Green, but the thing about Javonte Green is what he's shown is he's going to give you that whether he's starting or coming off the bench. I would love to see a game with Derrick Jones Jr. starting at the 4. Like, let's give him 3 games, right? Let's see what he can do. We'll see. Did I initially like the Tony Bradley signing? I didn't know enough about Tony Bradley. Honestly, I didn't know enough about Tony Bradley to like or dislike the signing. It came in a string of signings, right? So, like, overall, I when I looked at the Tony Bradley signing, I really looked at like it as a totality of the moves the Bulls made around that time, and I liked it overall there. I do think that Tony, like I said, Tony Bradley to me is showing that he's better as a third forward coming off the bench than the main backup center or backup big or whatever you want to call it. But Tony Bradley has some times where he just looks really, really good, and he plays smart, and he does some high energy things that you like. And I don't know if it's youth. I don't know if it'll come around with more experience, but and then sometimes where he just literally seems like he has butterfingers in there, like the Lonzo, DeMar, they will get him the ball. And it's literally in the process of him going from this to this, something happens and the ball ends up at his ankles, and then it's gone. Like, something happens in that. So much, probably a couple of times each game, that it's just like, can we get him some gloves? Can we do that? Nah, Bears trash. Here we go. Steelers, I love this channel. We'll support it. Go Bulls. Listen, man. There's no way. There's no way a Bears channel or turning this channel into all Chicago sports. I can do the Bulls and the Blackhawks. I can absolutely do a channel for Bulls and Blackhawks and love it, even if win, lose, or draw. The Bears have just been so frustrating over my whole life. Keep in mind, I was born in 86. What the last time the Bulls won the championship was the year or 2 years before I was born. Everything since then. Fuck the Rex Grossman season where we made the Super Bowl. All of that, because we knew the motherfucking Bears weren't going to win that at all. We've had some really great seasons in there, right? Well, not great. We've had some solid seasons, but it's always something that happens every fucking season that I just look at and I just want to punch something. I can't do it, man. I can't do it to myself. I like Green off the bench too because he matches Io and Caruso's intentionally on the. Absolutely. One thing's for sure is Zach stays on top of that. We get some good signings this offseason, people. Well, listen, the thing is, not even just this offseason. If you're a power forward and play that position, I would think the Bulls have to be at the top of your list. They absolutely have to. Like, what other team, and correct me, I'm actually asking this because I'm right now I'm caught up in just my Bulls mindset. If you're a quality power forward and you think that you can contribute and help and you want to play for a team that's going to go on a playoff run and possibly ascends to more than that, the Bulls have to be at the top of that list, right? These losses aside. So I really don't think the Bulls are going to have any trouble in the short term, whether it's a buyout, whether it's a trade for a player on a 1-year contract. I don't think they're going to have trouble filling that for this season. But next offseason, when after whatever happens this season, AK and Eversley, now they don't have to build a playoff team anymore, right? They have to take that playoff team and get it to the next level. I trust that people may even be willing to sign for the mid level and come here if they're a quality player. So you hope that's gonna hope and remain true. Hey, see, that ain't gonna do. Oh yeah, that's comment to the Warriors thing. Definitely not Cleveland. Something I'm concerned about is we see them consistently go in scoring droughts. We'll go 30 points, and then 15, and we lack on. Yeah, I mean, what it reminds you of, right, is that would have been the season before we drafted Derrick Rose, or maybe a season even before that. That Bulls team of that year always had a period where they went through some huge scoring droughts and they got completely out of games. Like they would look really good for parts of the game, even most of the game, but they would just have these periods in which they just could not score the fucking basketball. That's what that reminds. This is a much better team than that, but that's what that reminds you of. No type of swag. Do the Bulls have swag? Let me know what you guys think down below. Do the Bulls have swag? Listen, pass on Aaron Rodgers. We could have also had Mahomes. Yeah, like the Bulls have. I'm not the Bulls. The Bears have passed on some court. Like, just go back. Look at the Bears, for example. Last 15 years. Let's do 10 years of drafts and look at some of the quarterbacks that were picked after the Bulls picks. I did that like a couple of years ago, and literally it will make you question ever rooting for the Bears again. People getting hurt seriously opened up our issue. Exactly. And that was the thing. That was the problem in the way that the roster was constructed, is that it almost bet on our front off on complete healthiness. And they did the best that they could, right? I think looking back, and of course, hindsight, right? Hindsight, whatever. It's easy to in hindsight. But imagine if we had Larry Nance Jr. instead of, and I like Derrick Jones Jr. What if they would have got that? What if they would have worked out a way to get both of them in that deal? Man. When Zach bumped knees, my heart bumped that playoff game when D Rose. Listen. So that game where Derrick Rose tore his ACL, right? We're up in that game. That game was so out of hand to me that I think I left to go get some food or something. When I tell you it was almost comical. Yeah, I went to go get wings. I walked in, I was biting into a wing as he went down. Literally, as Derrick Rose went down, my teeth were in a hot wing. And I literally dropped the hot wing and was just like, what the fuck? And then in my mind, I was like, oh, it's not going to be as bad. They're going to come back in the morning, say it was like a sprain. He's going to be back in a couple of games. We got this one. Don't worry about it. That next morning, when they confirmed that it was an ACL tear, I called off work. So talk to me about PTSD. They play last year's teams tonight, and against the Pacers, play every team like you want to kill them. No sweat. Agreed. DTS. What does DTS stand for? Let me know that down below. We got swag when we're scoring. Well, other than that, nope. Facts. Alex Caruso. Is he swagalicious though? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. We must build for next season. We aren't a finals team this season, but where can we go next? Listen, the season is young, first of all. And you can't say you need to build towards next season when the season isn't even a quarter of the way through it. Come on, man. You know better than this, JDH. Like, you can't just throw away. We're not throwing away this season yet. The Bulls could make a deal that absolutely put them up there, especially when you look at like taking advantage of anything else that's going on in the league with the net shit, especially if there's injuries. Like, we can't call that right now. We're not speaking that into existence. We're not doing that. Yeah, I was probably told that when it happened. So tears I shed were too dramatic. I was, let's see, when D Rose tore his ACL, I would have been 20, like 25. Man, that shit was. I'm 34 now. I don't remember how. You do the math. That shit hurt though. That's all I'll say is that shit hurt. Yep. When we traded Laurie, I thought the notification said Nance Jr. to the Bulls, and honestly would have been better than D. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I believe that it was reported first that we got Larry Nance Jr. And then they had to do an amendment to that and say, no, this is what the actual deal was. I do believe that initially it was reported that the Bulls were getting Larry Nance Jr. Or unless I just read it wrong like you did, because I remember when that deal first went through, I was like, all right, Larry Nance Jr., I really do think can contribute in the same way Daniel Theis did. Teams have game plan for us now on offense, run pick and roll, attack. Thomas, you are absolutely right. That's it. They do. They have tape on us now. They understand how and what we're trying to do, and they try to disrupt it. They're not always going to be successful. There's Bulls need to make adjustments, everything else like that. Still don't know why Tibbs didn't take, man, listen. But the thing is that then the following year, he had the MCL. That injury with the way Derrick Rose played and apparently just with how he maintained his body, it was going to happen at some point. Unfortunately, it was going to happen at some point. Bagley, listen, I will say this about Bagley. He's young, right? I don't know how much. The thing is that we keep in mind the Bulls, in their mind, have their long-term power forward in Patrick Williams, right? They have that. Bagley is a young player with upside still. Do the Bulls look for a more veteran that is more consistent and that they know what they're getting at? Or do they look at a player like Bagley who can contribute now and have some upside? The thing is that, Bagley's going to be up for extension soon. If you sign a veteran knows what they're going to get, veteran minimum, maybe a little bit above that. Do you risk the chance of signing or bringing in a Bagley, him playing out of control? Let's say he does turn it around and look really good, and then we don't have the ability to re-sign him. I already have talked about how costly it's going to be for the Bulls to re-sign Ayo. That's going to be really big, especially as a second-round pick. Do you bring on somebody else who can command some money if they end up panning out? That's my only issue there. You would think that Bagley, the Kings may be willing to trade him at a low right now, just to get off that deal and get him out off the team and everything like that. Nothing has really shown that other than them not playing him. But I wouldn't be mad at Bagley. Listen, bring Felicio. He instantly makes the Bulls the number one contender for NBA. Man, come on. Come on, man. I fell on my knees, nearly cried when D Rose went down. I used to have his shoes, and then I was injury prone in high school. I guess it was the shoes. The real ones caught the reference. Absolutely. I had D Rose's shoes too. Absolutely. That's funny, bro. That is funny. Seeing Nance with Blazers, he's doing very well. Even shooting would have been a perf. Him or keeping Theis. I always forget how to say his name. Either one of those two would almost have been the perfect fit for what we have going on right now. But with that being said, they would have, of course, started coming off the bench because they would have ideally had Patrick Williams. But they do. Either one of those would do a lot of things for the Bulls right now. And it sucks that even if Thad ends up getting bought out, the Bulls can't re-sign him unless he gets traded to another team and then bought out. Then the Bulls can re-sign him. So it'll take too much unless the Bulls can trade for him. We'll see. Yeah, Rose is very out of control athletic guard. I see a lot of grit in jail. So is the comparison between Ja Morant and Derrick Rose is one that I always love. I know it's not for this channel, it's not for this conversation right now, but like, I don't know. That's just I love Ja, and he just reminds me of a lot of the grit in the way that he plays. He's of course a way more emotionally showing player than Derrick Rose, but I like the comparison between their skill sets. Within their style of play. Yep, absolutely. I feel like Bagley's sort of like Ball, where there are trade talk, both have potential, don't have that veteran. And Ball even less so, right? Because you have even less to show with him. And again, I don't trust when you look at players with like his length and body makeup, they typically have a lot of injury issues over the course of their career. Bagley, if depending on what the deal is, even if he isn't the answer, the Bulls bring him in to see what they can give him, to bring him off the bench and still look for another starting power forward, I wouldn't be mad at that. Prime was disciplined on offense, and he is now. Man, listen, if Derrick Rose never would have had that injury, and instead of having those years of battling back and getting back right in the right mindset, getting back his body, trusting his body again, if he would have never went down with that injury, he would have learned this veteran and this patience on offense even earlier on. Yes, it would have been goated. Absolutely. He would have had a statue next to Jordan. We definitely need Felicio for Felicio Friday. Listen, bring Felicio. I'm telling you, the Bulls want to win the title. You got to bring Felicio back. Like, he has to come back. He has to. This is a great convo. Thanks, bro. Anytime, like, you guys, like, really, I put out that poll. You guys, 80% of the vote was do more live streams after games. Hey, I think that's a great comparison. Thanks, bro. I think he will bounce back. There's been nothing reported that is going to be anything lingering. It's just, we have to remember, as an athlete, your body is your tool. When something happens that it takes you a while, like, yes, Kobe had the game where he shot the ball well, but it's going to take a while. Like, and it's still even that. This is he wasn't able to do a lot of conditioning. This is his offseason, his preseason, everything else. I do trust Kobe White's ability to bounce back. I said when Kobe White was called back to the roster is that give him a month before we really start judging him. Like, this, everything from when he came back to a month after that, to me, is all him getting it back together. After that month, right? If we're still talking about the same thing by the end of December, middle of January, all right, let's start raising more questions. Absolutely. Funny how the perfect player for us is someone we had. Yeah, and I mean, reportedly, they tried to get them to take Laurie instead of trading Thad. Imagine how different. Well, that would make the total team different, because then we wouldn't have Nance or we wouldn't have DJJ. But if they were able to keep Thad in that trade and instead trade Laurie, so much looks different for this team. So much does. Oh yeah, Laurie. Keep Laurie's ass. Like, and keep in mind, I'm still somebody who does think that Laurie still has some potential, depending on if he's right in the right team. But Laurie had to go, man. It was a lot like the Miritich thing. That relationship had soured so much. It was time for him to go. It was time for him to go. Didn't get to watch the game due to work. From what I gathered, we had another rough third quarter. Yep. Terrible third quarter. We got outscored 18-35 in the third quarter. We won the first two quarters. We scored 32 points in the first quarter, 32 points in the second quarter. We won both those quarters, 18 points in the third quarter. We even outscored them in the fourth quarter. Just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. I love Mike Dunleavy, not because necessarily his output, right, but just because of having him on this team. I feel like Laurie has so much. I agree. Like, I really do think, I don't know, like, imagine putting someone of like a Javonte Green's heart in Laurie's body and skill set. And again, completely different players and makeups and everything like that. And Laurie, like, when he developed that finisher name, he was flashing. I don't know what, like, I really do think that Boylan affected players' development so much more than what we realize. I really do think he negatively impacted so many players' development with him being here. And we'll never know. We'll never know. I wish they would have never traded Gafford. Well, if they didn't trade Gafford, a lot of the moves that the Bulls made this. Keep in mind, look at the deal that Gafford signed. He wasn't going to get that deal here in the Bulls. So if anybody saw that potential in him and offered that deal, we would have lost him anyway. We wouldn't have matched that deal. Gafford, kind of the writing was on the wall. The only way that we would have kept Gafford is if we were going to trust Gafford to make him our starting center. And the Bulls clearly wanted a veteran and somebody more reliable in there because they had their mindset on the playoffs. Dane got to be, that's one of the dumbest contracts ever, but hats off to him. You would think, but the thing I say, he has the potential to be. But what do I like to say on this channel for anybody who watches me a lot? Potential is not always realized. And that's just the truth. Which Javonte Green was about. Listen, if you take Javonte Green's mind and heart and put it in Patrick Williams, like, again, this is not to say that Patrick Williams can't develop that, but imagine even Javonte Green having Patrick Williams' body. We're looking at one of the best power forwards in the league at that point. They fucked up. That's what happened. They can't though. So if Thaddeus Young or Daniel Thies are Thies was signed outright, right? And I don't think he signed a multi-year contract, so he's probably. I don't think we traded him. I can't remember if we didn't trade Thies. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Did we trade Daniel Thies to the Rockets, or did he just sign outright there? But Thaddeus Young specifically, since we traded him, even if he's bought out, the Bulls can't re-sign him. The only way that we can re-sign a bought out Thad Young is if he gets traded to another team and that team buys him out, then the Bulls can sign him. If the Spurs buy out Thad Young, we cannot sign Thad Young. Even if he clears waivers, we cannot sign Thad Young. We'll see what Wendell can do against us, and AK might be keeping a close eye on Bamba trade. AK is probably keeping a close eye on everyone. I imagine AK's board in his room is like those web things that you see in the crime movies where he's like, all right, so if this happens here, then maybe we can move this piece over here and we can trade for this player. We can. It's so much that I believe goes on. And so Passman just wanted to dunk on everyone, throw some dimes. The thing is that I really do think that playing with veterans is what hampers his aggressiveness, because we saw in Summer League, he was calling for the ball. The Bulls were running offense. Now, yes, there was way less competition or whatever, but some of that goes on. Okay, so if Thies did sign to another team, then we can sign him if he's bought out. Tice. Oh, is it? Okay, so it's just pronounced Tice, Daniel Tice. Okay. Thank you for helping me with that, bro. I fucking murder that dude's name all the time. So thank you for that. So Tice. Then we can sign Tice. Javonte Green's heart and injury in the P. Will is basically Scotty Barnes. Not gonna lie, I like Barnes more than the P. Will right now. It's easy to like him more right now because of like how P. Will played when he was here this season and the fact that he's out. But I still personally believe in the ceiling and the potential of Patrick Williams. Strong performance heading into Miami, but right now that doesn't see. Listen, Cap. They need you on the team, Cap. Besides Nikola Jokic is in the Bulls, it's not gonna happen. Listen, we gotta stop. And I've talked about this in my video today. I don't do a lot of this theorizing because I feel like a lot of it's clickbait. Jokic is not going to be a Chicago Bulls player. Like, is there a world in which it happens? Is there a variant? If you guys watch Loki or whatever, MCU, there's absolutely a world in which that can happen. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. That may be my pessimism. He'd be in his room watching people build houses in the forest. Facts, bro. Facts. I want Jokic, man, but Murray and Jokic have a bond. It's hard to see them here. Daniel Tice was a sign and trade to Houston. We got $8 million trade exception, and I believe AK will be that. And that's for everyone who's looking at the Kobe. Like I said, Kobe White, with the way he's playing, injury, he's not going to get us a lot. If there's a team out there, there's a player, like I said, or a team that it goes in. Let's say the Rockets. This is because we played them, right? And again, I'm not expecting this to happen. I'm just using this as a hypothetical, so bear with me. If let's say the Rockets finally decide, okay, we're going to ship off every veteran that we have on this team. We're going to let these young players develop. We're going to get as many assets back as we can for these players, right? I'm just looking up Christian Wood's contract. Give me 1 second. Let's say, so Christian Wood signed a 3-year, $41 million deal. So that would mean that his deal would be a little bit more than what I'm saying, but I'm just using this as an example, right? Let's say they want to trade off everyone. Christian Wood, they want to just focus on the draft picks from this year. They want to trade Thies. They want to trade Christian Wood, whoever else. Let's say either one of those. Let's say they say, hey, we just want to get rid of Thies. Give us a second round pick. Give us a future heavily protected first round pick. Give us a first round pick 6 years from now that's top 20 protected. We'll take your trade exception for him. You got to think the Bulls do that deal. Like the AK and Eversley are smart. It's going to be something. It's going to be something crazy like that we would have never thought. That trade exception is going to be key though. And they don't have to use it this season, but between now and the draft, they're going to use that trade exception. Best believe. If it misses the playoffs, so his contract ends. Exactly. And even then, right? Even then, you like to think that they can re-sign him. I don't think we should attempt any trades. We should just wait for the buyout market because a lot of big men are going to be. A lot of big men are projected to possibly be on the buyout market. That's why I do think that the Bulls are going to. And don't forget, they have. I don't want to use the word spies, right? That sounds conspiracy theory like, but they are locked in on what other teams are thinking about doing. At least what they know. Believe me, if there's a player that they expect to be bought out that they think that they could bring in, they're going to wait for that. If there's a player that is going to hit the trade market, is going that they find out the other teams are going to be in. All at the end of the day, this is what I'm saying. I trust AK Eversley, the Bulls front office, to improve this team. That's why I don't do a lot of videos. Like I talked about this today. Some of you guys liked it, some of you guys didn't. And this isn't a shot at any other Bulls channel or anything like that. But this is why I personally don't do the hey, the Bulls are reportedly interested in trade. AK and Eversley play things too close to the vest for us to ever truly know who they're interested in or planning to sign, unless it comes from Woj, unless it comes from Shams, and them saying that they are entering advanced talks. That's when I will do a video on, hey, the Bulls may be trading for such and such. To me, all the other shit comes off way too clickbaity for me. And we're probably going to love absolutely. Absolutely. Trust AK and Eversley so much that that trade exceptions are huge, especially specifically for teams. If it is like right, if there's a player that the other team is planning on buying out and you don't want to risk another team getting offer them something, trade exception. A trade and so again, I'm not a capologist. I don't know how trade exceptions paired with contract works. I think if you're using a trade exception, you have to absorb that player completely into that trade exception. So, for example, the Bulls have an $8 million trade exception. I don't think they compare that with like a Troy Brown's contract to bring in somebody who makes more than a trade exception. I don't think that that's how that works. But correct me if I'm wrong. If anybody's more familiar, I'm not a capologist. It's something that I admittedly am not the best at. Circles right now, and AK sitting back. Exactly. That's the thing. We are probably doing way more permutations of possible trades, whereas AK and Eversley, they probably know exactly what they're going to do a month and a half from now. And they're just like, just wait. They're probably even telling Billy Donovan and the coaches, listen, do what you need to do, manage the rotations till now. We got you. We got you. All right, we're about an hour and a half into the stream. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. Get any of your thoughts, anything in there now. It's 12:06 a.m. where I'm at right now. I'm going to go 9 more minutes till 12:15. So you guys get that much time. Unless it slows down, I'll end it a little bit early. I'm not looking at trade stocks. I want to see how this team does heading into Christmas. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's be real, guys. Love isn't coming to Chicago because we ain't giving him how much money he's about to ask for unless he says, F it, I'll get this last one. Listen, if he's bought out, keep in mind, if players are bought out, they tend to sign for a lot less because they're getting a lot of that money, depending on what, like, look at D Wade, for example. He got most of what the fuck he was going to get from his contract just to go away. So trade, no, we're not going to trade for Kevin Love. His contract's way too big. We'd have to give up too much. If he's bought out, it changes things. Now, does Kevin Love do what we need done? Rebounding part, yes. Scoring, Kevin Love isn't nearly the scorer he used to be. Passer, he does offer. And we really have a team, 5 starters of all passers. And he can still do some shooting, right? That was part of my requirements. Rim protection. Kevin Love doesn't do shit for rim protection, though. So how much does that really help us overall? Is the rebounding and potential shooting of a Kevin Love enough to overcome still? That doesn't help our defensive issues in the middle. Yeah. Not going to be available. Not realistic again. Not going to be available. We can use our $1 million trade exception on Bobby. Listen, still not happening. Not happening. Kevin Knox, he don't help us at fucking all, bro. At all. Matter of fact, he needs to pay Chicago if he comes to Chicago. It's bought out. It's only a certain amount you can get. Exactly. It's only a certain amount that you can give them in that first year. And then I don't know how that works with bird rights, but then they can try to re-sign him next year at the vets minimum. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, if somebody's bought out, we're really looking at them again because the Bulls have what they think is their long-term power forward in Patrick Williams. I don't know if necessarily the Bulls are even looking for someone who. That's why the Marvin Bagley thing that I question. I like the idea, but I wonder if they're looking at somebody who can come in long-term power forward because they have what they think is going to be their power forward in Patrick Williams. Discuss possible names right now because Acme is so unpredictable, like the Vooch. Listen, man. And DeMar. Like, DeMar wasn't really linked to the Bulls. Iceland's basketball kills the team. Absolutely. Absolutely. We talked about that earlier in the stream. How we need to get back to more freedom in ball movement. Love the channel. Looking forward to the next video in the next game. Have a happy Thanksgiving to Haize and all of you guys. Thank you, Key Isaac Epps. I appreciate that, man. I love doing this, man. I love talking to you guys. I love interacting with you guys a little bit more than on the regular videos and in the comment section. Doing this live is a lot better. Zach and DeMar has to learn how to pass the ball to the high end. Agree. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I don't mean it to like ignore your question, but we did talk about that early in the stream, so I don't want to kind of go back over that again. Not gonna happen. If they can, if the Bulls can get them to agree to that for Jeremy Grant, absolutely pull the fucking trigger. Like, let me be clear. If they offer that trade and the Detroit Pistons say, yep, then you say, yep, and you do the fucking trade. I just don't think that's going to be enough. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think they can get way more than what the Bulls can offer them for that player. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, bro. It is Thanksgiving. I have to, even after this, the reason why I'm ending this is because I'm cooking this year for Thanksgiving. So I have to go start doing a lot of my preparatory work in the kitchen. I'm going to be up to about 3 o'clock this morning. 3 o'clock this morning. We just sip my water a little bit. I don't. So in my real life, right? And people don't always believe this, but in my real life, I'm a super quiet person. I'm actually a huge introvert. I've been podcasting for a few years now on my other podcast. Shout out to the Awakened Soul if you guys are interested in listening to it. In the Breaks Radio, I do a hip hop live stream podcast, but I'm very, very quiet in my real life. I'm a huge introvert, like I said. So, like, this is probably the most I've talked in a consecutive amount of time in years, because I don't talk very much. Even like my family and my kids, we're all really like these perfect nonverbal communicators, so we don't all talk. Well, my daughters talk a lot. I mean, like me and my oldest son, we're just very quiet people. People don't believe that. They think because you're a podcaster or whatever that means you just like to talk, and it's not the case for me. Remember, logs is big wins. Absolutely. We talked about Marvin Bagley earlier in the stream. So again, I'm just for the interest of this is towards the end. I don't want to like rehash a lot of that. I want people to be able to get their questions, but we did talk about Marvin Bagley specifically earlier in the stream. Kobe for Obi. I don't know if I trust Obi Toppin. Hey, you said my name correct. Love to hear it after so many people. Listen, my real first name is Cordero. I hate like people add names or like Cornell, Coronado, and it's like those letters aren't even in my name. So I try to get people's name. That's why I hate when I like Tice, for example, we mispronounced his name for so long. I hate when I do that because I hate when people mispronounce my name. Don't forget about a possible first round pick from the Blazers if they make the playoffs. Absolutely. Matter of fact, I think if the Blazers look like they may make the playoffs, right? We need to trade that pick. To what Ricky said, get big wins, have big eats, happy Thanksgiving, and take care. Thank you, MC Season. I appreciate you. You are one of my biggest and most consistent supporters of this channel, so I thank you so much for that. What do you think about Billy's? And I'm actually going to do a video on that. And something that somebody pointed out in the stream was that the Bulls tend to have bad third quarters. I'm going to do some research on that because what that would do is tell me that the other coaches are adjusting their game plan better than what Billy Donovan is at halftime. So be on the lookout for a video from that probably sometime this weekend. Something about you remind me of Charlie Clips. I have no idea who that is. And so I'll address this again because we're getting towards the end of the stream. I know there's another channel called Bull Central, right? I had no idea. I don't really watch YouTube. I'm a podcaster, strictly podcast. So like before, and the Chicago Bull Central, my show started and was a vision as just a podcast. I had no plans on doing YouTube. I'm a filmmaker in my real life, so I have like cameras all over the place. So I started off Chicago Bull Central, the podcast. I looked in Apple iTunes, I looked in Spotify. I did not see that name for anything. I started the channel, the podcast, Chicago Bull Central. I released like 2 or 3 episodes, and then somebody said, like, it seems like you're really animated when you talk about the Bulls. You should record video and post it to YouTube. So then I did that. And then, like, after my first 2 videos where somebody was like, "Hey, do you know there's another similarly named channel?" I didn't even think to check YouTube because I wasn't historically a YouTuber. That's my fault. But at that point, merch has been made, name's been copywritten. I'm not changing the name. But yeah, if Charlie Clips, if he's a YouTuber, I have no idea who he is. I really don't watch YouTube very often. This is all new to me. So at least San Antonio, we need to snack. Man, listen, Popovich ain't coming. Come on, man. You think Pop, after like he's gonna probably take, I'm not saying that Pop will never coach again, but Pop is probably gonna take a good 2 to 3 years off before we hear anything. And even with that, he may come back in the front office role, not as a coach. Oh, Charlie Clips is a battle rapper. Sorry, my mind went right to YouTube. Right to YouTube. My fault. I already commented that Zoe didn't score much in the second half. Too much ISO ball. I mean, we kind of talked about that already. Thanks, Cap. But that's it. It's 12:15. Bush and good job. Here's good content. I watch you, Locked on Bulls and Windy City Breeze. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that, man. Being involved with those names, Windy City Breeze, I have watched since I came on YouTube because people have said, "Hey, you should reach out to them for a collab." So I watch them. I love what they do. Love what they do in live streaming during games. I won't do anything like that during games. But yeah, I love what they do, man. Locked on Bulls. That is a podcast that I listen to very regularly. Locked on Bulls. The Bulls beat Chicago Bullseye. Those are some of the Bulls podcasts I listen to. I've been listening to the Bulls beat for years, man. I used to work overnight in a hospital and I would listen to Doug Tonus's podcast back then. And then when he was doing Chicago Now and writing articles, I would read them all the time. That's a trip down memory lane. Darius Wiggins, thank you, bro. I'm signing off for tonight. Thank you guys so much for sticking through this feed with me for an hour and a half to talk about it after a loss at that. I know it's not always the best thing to talk about. I'll be doing more live streams. Like I said, I am going out of town, not tomorrow. I'm leaving Friday to go home to St. Louis to visit my mom and stuff. So this weekend's games, I probably won't get videos out to. I'll probably, when I come back Sunday, do like a mashup of everything that I've missed and do a video on that. This is probably going to be the longest stretch that I won't release an episode in a while. So be on the lookout. Please still support the channel, man. Like I like to end. Fight Sports TV. I actually was already on there. I popped up on one of the live streams like a earlier this week, man. I gotta protest the Bears and not watch the trash game without Phil's facts. But thank you guys so much, man. Like I like to end every video on Go Bulls. I truly love you guys, man. I know it just sounds like something cool to say, but the support and love you guys have shown me since I've started this channel, man, means a lot to me. I can't urge that enough. This will be the 73rd video that I've posted in 3.5 months. That output is only because I love you guys, man. And you guys support me like you do. I'm out this bitch. I love you guys. Peace.